So once you had that right team, how did you go about figuring out a model that was sustainable?
Oh, I think ultimately it took us years to really understand, how do you create a sustainable airline? Now, of course, a lot of people will immediately, and they have every right to say, but AirAsia X never figured out, because they only look at it from an external, overall consolidated. But I think internally, because we could look at, for example, the profitability of our business by individual routes and destinations that we flew to and which types of planes, we found, and we were very clear, what drives profitability, right? In this case, you can only be profitable in markets where you're the number one player. So you got to choose which markets to compete in, and you have to play to win. You can't play to be number two or number three. So what does that mean, right? That means it's better to be a big fish in a few ponds than a small fish in many ponds. And once you figured out the formula, we then embarked on this pretty massive restructuring exercise. We pulled out of Europe. We canceled our London and Paris routes. Most people thought, oh, see, they're withdrawing, so long haul doesn't work. Actually, it's not about the distance. It has nothing to do with the distance. It has everything to do with better, for example, be the number one airline flying into Australia or Japan or Korea, instead of, one flight a day to London, when Emirates by themselves have 8 A380 planes flying to London every day. Right? So you got to choose where you play, and then you've got to win. And when we were able to demonstrate that model and execute that model, we were able to convince pretty sophisticated investors in 2013 to say, okay, I will buy your IPO shares because your explanation makes sense. Right? And so ultimately, to me, the validation is not just because I think low-cost long-haul can work, but we were able to build a case and convince very sophisticated investors that, yes, it can work.